Well, great to have you on the show, and I want you to just tell people about pimento cheese.
I'm James Flowers and my wife.
I'm Donna Flowers, and we are the proud owners of a small business in Eastern North Carolina called OMGoodness Pimento Cheese.
And we were based out of Wilson, North Carolina. Our hometown is actually Stantonsburg, but we will be in production in Wilson.
Fantastic. And I met through one of the classes I was getting to teach in the area, and it was exciting because you were in a class that was sort of a kickoff for a contest where you won second place, right?
That's right.
And you're good friends with the first place. So it's a friendship that worked out. It was exciting to see you take what we learned in the class and implement it and work together. And obviously the judges thought it was useful. So tell them a little bit about that contest and what was involved in doing it, your experience of it, because you put a lot of effort into it as a team and a family.
Well, it basically, we met in your class.
Yep.
And we actually saw a couple of other competitors in your class, but leading up to that, we went and made a business plan, and we went forward from there. From your class, we took parts of your class and implemented it even more into our business plan. Donna can probably go into a lot more detail on that end than I can.
Sure. Great.
Well, the Upper Coastal Business Development Center in downtown Wilson, North Carolina, was hosting a Dream Fest competition where we competitors would submit a business plan, and that would be judged, and then later they would have a kind of a Shark Tank competition where business owners would come in and be able to pitch their businesses in front of an audience as well as a panel of judges. And the audience was allowed to vote, but the primary voting or judging came from the panel of judges that were comprised of various business owners across Eastern North Carolina, including folks from the small business centers that are inside the community colleges across North Carolina. And so we saw that competition come up, and we felt like we had a really good shot because we just have a great compassion for our pimento cheese. We've had such a great success promoting that for missions, and it's just been an awesome experience. And we just felt like that we would have a really good opportunity to win somewhere in the placing that they had, and we were able to do that. And thankfully, Martin provided a pitch or how to pitch your business workshop, and we went and participated in that. And that was such an awesome experience because he was able to give us the items that we needed to be able to actually, from A to Z, to pitch our business and be able to show the panel of judges as well as the audience what our business was about, and to be able to narrow in exactly what we were trying to project. And so it was an awesome experience, and I hope they do it again because we would like to try that again maybe, or encourage other businesses to do that.
Yeah, it was excellent. And thanks to Olga and the team there and the whole community that supported it. It was a great idea when I heard about it. And she asked if I'd come in and do something like what we call the pitch deck, which I work with Dan Scala, putting it together into discrete intervals that got right to the point of what you had to offer. And I think you did an excellent job on it. And then you had to fit it into the criteria of presenting there. So it wasn't, always what occurred. The thing is on this is, I think if anyone has a chance to do it, it's a little unnerving, but the fact of it is if you succeed or fail, you were clear you were going to learn something. And that's what I thought was so exciting about it. It really was, they structured it not as how do we put you on stage and you win or fail, but how do we get everyone to learn something about communicating the value and the passion and the story of their business? And that's what I thought was excellent, because I watched how you took what was, we know we love it, we know we have a great product because people have told us we're making this thing, and how do we formalize it to strangers so they understand it? How do we formalize it to somebody that's going, I'm going to approve giving you some real money to help you along? How are we going to communicate a need in a concise form so they go, this money will be used well? And I think you did all of that. And I'd love to hear a little bit about some things you might have learned from the experience that you really didn't quite expect.
Well, for me, it was reconfirming that following exactly what you had said and not recreating the wheel allowed us to just follow the steps, do exactly what it said, and have the excitement of what we were trying to project. That was just reaffirming for me, because we didn't really have to do much more than what we were doing. We just had to be excited and follow the instructions. And so we appreciate your wisdom and guidance, because otherwise we would have probably been trying to still figure out how to make that happen, and maybe say too much or not enough, or who knows what. So we appreciate that leadership that you gave. And the gentleman who won first place, he did that as well. Mm-hmm. And so it was a proven skill that you shared with all of us to be able to know how to be an award-winning small business.
And now you can say you're an award-winning product. That's the big thing. You know, the ability to get on the court and have this, and, you know, is so exciting. And I want to bring forward several things that I saw you were doing right, because I think it's so important. One, in marketing, the product being good is not enough. We have to do more. And we still have to have a good product on consistency. So you worked in the back office of, here we got a product. How do we make it consistency? How do we produce it over and over? How do we make it scalable at the level we can do? And then the other thing is I really enjoyed you understanding the importance of my point of people sell, not brands. Because in a small business, often it's like, well, what's the brand? What's the logo? Well, the fact is the relationship's built by human beings. In fact, I challenge in all small businesses, even some of the big ones, it's been human beings, even if we're paying an actor to hold up the XYZ and promote it. And I think that's one of the things I was excited to see, to tell you, we got to bring you guys out more out front. And then, you know, the important thing also is, in your business, your work and your church and your mission are so core to it. We needed to make a decision. Is that going to be part of it or not part of it? Because, you know, if somebody goes, I'd never have pimento cheese from someone who does mission work, they're not your customer, because the story will be there. So I want to showcase the fact of, we have to decide what parts of ourselves are so critical to personalize it, to include it. And I got to see that occur, and a lot you had done before, but it also was really going, wait a second, we're going to sell it. It's us getting excited about the product. It's us letting our enthusiasm, and it doesn't have to be in a manic fashion. You know, each of you have your own style when you talk about the product, but your own version of passion about it comes through. So those were several things I saw that I think so important in a micro business, because they'll get, I've met so many where it's like, well, I've got the great documentation. I need the numbers. We need the numbers. We need the stats. We need the documentation. We need the following, but we need the story. We need the people. We need the humanization along with it. And that's what I've seen you bringing forward on it, and so exciting through it. Anything you want to add to that?
You know, one of the things that comes to mind is in the process of this is that we actually were on the phone with you as you were traveling. I think you said, I've got 10 hours worth of writing to do. So I've come home at lunch and we're going through some things, and then we touch base again, and, you know, we tweak a little bit here, tweak a little bit there. And, you know, you brought things out that we hadn't thought of yet, and which made it a whole lot easier for the presentation. And as in actually one of the judges asked about the hands-on and being face-to-face, which is that's part of our business, is the delivery face-to-face type thing, and what does that look like in the future? And so he was asking some questions, and we were able to have some answers for those things. And so it was you take the opportunity to learn and teach, even if you're driving down the highway. So,
right. Well, thank you. I am very passionate about it. One of the things I want to talk about that I see with good people like yourself is also often the idea of you're supposed to be humble, getting in the way of sharing your passion. And I'd love to give you see if you have any tips on it, because I'm not talking about people get stuck where it's, well, I'm not an outgoing and I'm not a bragging person. And there's a difference between I've got something of value for society and I have a responsibility to communicate that value versus using what I'm going to call the excuse of humbleness to not have to face the fear of putting yourself out there. Because for most of it, there is a certain level of fear putting yourself out there. They're going to criticize you. In fact, one of my excitements with clients is their first big criticism when I'm coaching them, because I go, okay, did you get, are you dead? Did you vaporize? Okay, your feelings are hurt. All right, now, what are we going to do about it? Now, this is the time to get up. This is where the character's built. This is where the progress is made. So if you talk a little bit about that, because I see you as also humble people that are very committed to not just being boastful in general.
Well, I think that part of it, the product speaks for itself. That's a small part of it. But it's really being excited about it. And for me personally, the vision that I see further down the road than where we are now, that vision is what really pushes me to the next thing, whether it's a yes or a no or a possibility. We've been waiting on some information to come in for one of our locations that we're looking at, but that doesn't get me down because the vision is a whole lot brighter than the small speed bump, if you will. And the excitement level is you can be humble, but you can still be excited. And I believe that those two things kind of go together. You can be both, and you can transmit your excitement, but at the same time, you're being humble. And I think that potential customer and businesses understand that, and that's what they kind of like about that also. The product will sell itself on everybody's taste buds, but we have to do our end, knowing what we have seen, what the product has done for mission trips, what we've done to help other people along the way. We're not bragging or being boisterous about that, but it's just, hey, this is what we've done so far, and we've helped 6 different mission trips. Just by doing this, what else can we do? What can we do in the future? How big does it really look? So that's kind of, as you can see, I get pretty excited about talking about that. So,
yeah.
Well, one thing to keep in mind when you are starting a business or anything is to do something. Don't sit and do nothing. Write down the things that you need to do, and then do something every day to be able to get past that list and the items that are there. And so being thinking outside the box and seeing the larger picture of things. Sometimes you do have some struggles that come in the way, a personal struggle or possibility for us. Like he said, we're waiting anxiously for our location to come together, and that is coming together. But in the meantime, every day we're doing a little something, posting on Instagram or posting on Facebook, or meeting somebody potentially that could help us be able to move further. Next Tuesday, we're taking a training class for certification to learn more of how we can have good manufacturing practices and making sure that we keep our customers healthy and safe. when they do eat our product. And so instead of thinking about we're waiting on that location, we're doing a little bit every day. So when that location is ready, we are definitely ready as well.
I think there's several points you brought on there. One is letting yourself have a vision and mission that's your kind of lantern, your torch, and sometimes your shield to get, when you're criticized, to go, wait a second, I'm here for, and yours, one of your lantern is the passion it contributes to the mission work. And then you've seen the results of the mission work and how it touches lives. And that's core to your values, your principles, your faith. And so that's an important thing. It may be the passion for people's food, the passion for something else. I just I had a coaching session with someone today, and I said, they're looking at kind of a career changing and so forth. And I said, look, here's an idea, listening to you, of your purpose in life. I want you to nail this down in a week. I want you to live out of it for 6 weeks and stop messing around. And then you'll go, I can't stand it, or you'll change it. But it got him to commit to something. And I said, just imagine what's going to happen if you're such a diverse person and want to be more focused, and we get some consistency here moving forward, and how a ripple effect in your life. And I don't know that he had ever quite had permission to do that. I tell people we don't discover things just by thinking of them. It's a dance of active engagement and then active thinking and then some active being away from it, so that our unconscious or other conscious has to work. But it all umbrellas under a commitment of moving forward, and the commitment of facing whatever fears we have that come up and other things in the process, and going, okay, now what? And okay, now what? And I tell people that really a difference between the winners and losers is the winners ask, what does it take? And the losers ask, I wonder if it's possible. Can I do it? Maybe. Is it going to fail? What's going to occur? And then, in the what does it take, you may decide, okay, my goal is to go to the moon, and I'm 59 years old, and now it's a passion I've explored. Now I know what it takes, and I'm not willing to commit every ounce of my life for the probability of that to happen. That's a different conversation than this more of a passive hope it will work out, which to me has, and don't mean to use this word in this way, but it doesn't move providence like commitment does, and it also doesn't bring up the appropriate boundaries, the appropriate failures, the appropriate lessons we need to push through, to move through, to grind against, to move forward. And I see that as a thing as well. I would love for you to tell a little bit about how it works as a family working together on a business, because this is a challenge. My wife and I are blessed to work well in a business. It enhances our relationship, but many people, it's tough when they're a couple that they also work together. So anything you'd like to share on that or add to my last comment would be great.
Well, basically, we have always worked together since we've been married on a lot of different things, whether it was a church event, Boy Scouts, 4-H. There's been a lot of things that we've always included each other. It's really never been a you do this, I do that. It's always been a family type of thing for us. And of course there are times that gets tense, and you have to build on that at the same time. You can't allow those things to ruin what you have going on. Mm-hmm. Again, you have to have a bigger focus beyond yourself. Mm-hmm. And put it on someone else. Mm-hmm. And it's about being more selfless than being selfish. Mm-hmm. When it comes to a partnership type of thing. But and our son has been involved too, and just whenever we're out and we're doing something, we talk to people about it, and we do you like this, or what would you like if you wanted to eat some pimento cheese? Do you like it hot, mild? And you find out that people go, I had a grandma that used to make it, and then we get into family stories. So it builds on our story, talking to them, and that type of thing. So Now, she may have a different opinion.
That's all right. We're welcome.
Well, as he said, we always have worked well together. There are things that he does a lot better than I can, and he takes the lead on those things. And then there's other things that I do that I take the lead on that he really doesn't enjoy. I really enjoy the public relations part of putting together different things, promoting Instagram and Facebook and that kind of thing, and being able to see how we can improve on publicizing about the opening of this business. And that's not something he enjoys. Now, sometimes I do pull him in to get some help on it, but sometimes I'm like, well, maybe I should not have done that. So, you know, we have our highs and our lows, and so we just remain to encourage and uplift one another as we go. And lots and lots of reading about how to win friends and influence people.
Right. You know, I remember my mother gave me that when I was a teenager, and I found the book and was like it had lines through all of it. It's like, I think she probably said, you'll meet more girls with this, and it was the right time to do it. It probably was a hook. My mother was a smart woman. She knew the hooks all along the way or something. But that's excellent. I get it. And the thing that I also want to bring up is, just like a business, what you really want is not everyone the same. You want to be building a team and go, what is the best role of each player? And that's something I've learned very important, because if you've got, you know, everyone's a quarterback, you're not going to win the game, or what, some other analogy, you know. And I think that's part of what you're talking about, learning over time. Is just that. And I also want to give permission. Some people just decide as a business they don't work well as a team, and there's nothing wrong with that either. They can be a great family, and they can have a great experience with their kids, and choose that that's the thing that they just address the core issues that need to come up as well. So I think I've seen both of these work, and I think the key here is, what's the workability for this? What works? You know, it does, okay, bringing him in when I need it on this is good, and he's good at that, and really owning we can't be good at excellent. We can't be good at everything. We need to play to the team, play to understand what's going on. And this has got to have had a really cool effect. Can you talk about the ripple effect on the kids? Because I can't think of something greater than entrepreneurship being part of a family. In a world where I don't see necessarily we'll have enough jobs out there, I think we need to encourage more family entrepreneurship projects. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Our son, we have only one son, and throughout his life, we've had different things come about that have allowed various opportunities for entrepreneurship. We started out with him selling Boy Scout popcorn, which is called Trails In Popcorn. And in order for him to be able to go on all the Boy Scout outings and higher level camping trips and different things, going to the National Boy Scout Jamboree and going to Philmont, various high-level events and activities that he really desired to do. We didn't have the finances to do that, so we encouraged him to go out at a small age and start selling Boy Scout popcorn. And sure enough, over his entire career of selling Boy Scout popcorn, he sold $30,000 in Boy Scout popcorn.
That is great. What a great story.
And so Mom and Dad did not sell that for him. Out of that amount, we sold maybe a couple of $100. And so we would take him out to businesses, and he would go business to business selling the popcorn. And so he built quite a clientele. And sure enough, he's just finished up using a college scholarship that has put him through college with selling the Boy Scout popcorn. And so he's been able to utilize a ton of trips and opportunities that most people probably would not have had unless they had that opportunity. And so from the beginning of his life, that's where we started, because we wanted him to work for what he was needing to have. And that's how entrepreneurship kind of starts, in my opinion, is teaching at a young age. And so we've been able to do that. And again, we wanted to go on some mission trips.
Mm-hmm.
We started making survival bracelets that he would talk to people and be able to get in front of them and tell them about what he could be able to do to be able to make something, and then they could be able to use it beyond them buying the bracelet for their purpose. Mm-hmm. And so from the beginning, we've just kind of built an entrepreneurship-minded family of where, you know, if you need some money, then let's go figure out a way to make that happen.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you know, it's just study, you know, not just study your homework, but if your desire is to do a computer program, if that's what you're going to make, then you got to study on how to make that. Or if it is buying a car, study on knowing all the details. And that's kind of like entrepreneurship there, is that if you're purchasing a vehicle, you need to know the ins and outs and things that most people don't think of. And so we've been working with him in that, and that's what he did when he purchased his first car with his money, not ours. So, you know, that's something that he did, and he actually did the studying for about 1.5 years because he was torn between different vehicles. And so we're really proud of him in that, but I think that that's just a small amount of where it may go in the future for him because of his desire and focus. So, and you know, we've had a little bit to do with it, sure.
Yeah, no, I think you've done a great job. I've gotten to see him engaged in things. I think I met your son at one point at one of the classes. I believe, you know, but you know, I have to tell you, teaching statewide from Murphy to Manio, your son shows up like a lot of homeschool kids, just to let you know, because I've met some of them that they just kind of like, it's unnerving how mature they are for the age. You know, they're competent, respectful. They're, you know, they know they're going to have to put work in. I'm not saying that other kids aren't or anything. It's just once in a while I meet this family, and I'll stop in after the class to say hello to them, and they go, and they'll say, we homeschool our kids, and then I'll meet them, and it's just amazing. And I think the key thing is not doing everything for them, because I got to teach it. Give a presentation on entrepreneurship at universities. And I gave it to my own university, and I really studied what was the challenge for young people today. And the challenge was a complete absence that I could see in meeting them of confidence, because they didn't have enough calculated risks. They didn't have enough failures. They had too many wins without failures. And I went, this is tragic. These were raised by good meaning parents that sadly might have done a disservice to them. And they were good kids, but even the simple act of asking a question in public or something, you could see the fear on their face. And I'm going, Mike, you couldn't keep my hand down. I was even asked to leave class one time, you know, because I was asking too many questions. But it was my parents also. My father was a consultant. I got to see how much he loved. And then that worried my mother, and she wanted him to get into a more stable job, and he got into it. But then he made something of it as well. And they were encouraging during the Carter gas crisis. I said, do you think I could sell something to the people in the line? And so I was out selling beverages and snacks to the people waiting in line for their gas, you know, and it's like, they saw it and they set criteria up, and they let me do it. Now we're in a more intense environment that you might have to be more careful, but there's always something like that could occur. And clearly there were boundaries set even then, but I got to make some money, and they said, okay, what are you going to do with this? And so I think there's an important lesson here as well on just that, that entrepreneurship is cultivated by doing something. It doesn't look just some way. It's about taking these calculated risks. I mean, you haven't jumped in and said, let's mortgage the house and make this product. Let's start moving forward on it. Well, I would love to have you tell them a little bit about your wonderful product, and also I want you to have the closing words on what you'd like to tell people, but I want you to make sure to tell them, what is this great product? How can they learn about it? How can they experience it? And how could they possibly get it? So over to you.
Well, to start out with, as you've already heard, we've started making this as a way of providing money for mission trips and for not just overseas, but local and, within the States. And, it all started basically with our neighbor, and my wife made her very first batch, and she comes over, and this neighbor doesn't like pimento cheese, but she took some home, and so she came back and said, oh my goodness, this stuff is awesome. You need to sell this. So that's where we got started, was with our neighbor, and the name of our business came from that. Oh my goodness, pimento cheese. And from that point, we just started talking to people and saying, hey, how would you like to have this? And my wife really ran that part of it because of, my job at the time, and also with, just the connection that she has for Facebook and that type of things. And before long, we had people ordering all the time, and not just a small amount, but sometimes 50, 60 to 100 at a time, and so we kind of works that into where we get a message about this opportunity to take this the Shark Tank event type of thing.
Yes.
And so at that point, I just said, whether we win, lose, it doesn't really matter. We're going to go forward with the business. We've already done our business plan. We went through that, and it doesn't matter where we end up. We're just going to go forward. And that was the decision, that no matter what, that's just it. We're going to do it. And so from that point on, we've been working for it, and of course, as we talked earlier about your help and all that, and then we went to present. And before we left the presentation, we had 2 different restaurants that wanted the product as soon as we were, in our location. And so there's a whole lot to the story. It's been a really big blessing for us, not only just seeing the business build, but meeting the people along the way, hearing the stories, hearing about the grandma or about the granddad, whoever made it. And, or the ones I like the most are the ones that don't like it, and they try it and they say, this is awesome. I said, that's why we're doing this, is for you. So, but my wife can tell you a lot more on that end, I'm sure.
It's been really fun to see people that come along because the product is a very thrifty product that can be made easily. I think parents along the way for many years forced their kids to eat the product, and they may or may not liked it then. And it's kind of neat to see them come along now, and they try it reluctantly, and then they love it. They just can't believe that they didn't like it before. And it's kind of neat to see those memories that they had that were not so good memories just kind of melt away. And so it's been fun to see other people that like the product so much that they have to send it off to their trusted relative to store until they actually need the product for their vacation next week or a special event or something of that nature. It's also been kind of cool to see young kids who have never tasted it before, and they just love it. And the parents are just crazy that their kids love something that they didn't like before. But there's just so many cool stories about people along the way and how they've, come to like it or really love it. And we've been so blessed to have a lot of cheerleaders, a lot of prayer warriors, just praying and believing and encouraging us. We've had people, small business owners along the way, just encourage and uplift and just come along the side of us and just say, you can do this, and offer to help and encourage and uplift. And even beyond you, Martin, you have just been such a big cheerleader. I remember seeing you in a workshop and I just couldn't believe that there were people out there that were supportive as you are, and we so appreciate that.
And it's actually part of the story.
Yes.
If you can't do it by yourself, you can't do it on your own, and if you did, it wouldn't be half as much fun.
Right.
When you're around people that they're doing a totally different business than what you're doing, but there's nuggets in there that when you're talking to them, they're just kind of throwing it out there. This is what I learned in 20 years, or this is what it was like when I first got started in this business. And you learn to take a little bit at a time. There's always something there to glean from, and it may be something you grab onto right away, and it may be a little bit further down the road, and all of a sudden, bam, there it is. I remember that. And like the vision part for us, we're in the first phase of our company right now, and we're looking at 3 phases. And one of the phases, like I said, I keep my focus on, is that we would like to hire special needs people. We would like to hire veterans. And that was just like a really cool idea, and I love the idea, and I don't know what that looks like yet, but that's where we want to be. And then, there's another phase that we're looking at, and some of that I'm seeing it starting to possibly come around sooner than we thought. So, you can check us out on YouTube, not YouTube yet, but before long.
We'll get you there. You'll be on YouTube shortly.
We're actually looking at doing some things on YouTube in the future once we're open. We've got some cooking ideas that we're going to actually be putting out there. Wow. And hopefully we're going to bring in some local chefs to use our product in their service as they make it, so we can, besides having it on pizza, which if you've never had that, you need to get our stuff and try it on pizza. I know it sounds weird, but it's good. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook.
We're on Alignable.
Right. We got you on that. We're exploring that together.
You can find us at OMGoodness OMGoodness Pimento Cheese LLC.
Cool.
So,
and I'll have it below too. So there'll all be hyperlinks in the show.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
No, we're good. That's part of it, the experience. Yeah.
But we have just been so excited. One in particular gentleman who runs the Boykin Center at the Wilson, in historic downtown Wilson, he actually gave us, like 2 weeks after, a cookbook with all of the ideas to use pimento cheese.
Yeah. Oh.
So it would be so cool to have him come in and maybe cook a dish and have a video and be able to place that somewhere that he could be able to treasure that as well. And so it's just been so neat to be able to see so many opportunities and to narrow in and help people, help other businesses, help other small businesses in historic downtown Wilson, and seeing what we can do to help them as well.
And for us, if someone needs anything on that end, business-wise, we'd love to share as much as we possibly can with anybody, because that's what everybody's done for us. And there's no big secret. It's just really get out there, do it, be active, be proactive, because success is not going to attack you in the chair.
Right.
So you have to be out there. And, we're excited about doing a lot of the media things that, to our knowledge, no one else in this business has been doing that. So we're really looking forward to maybe putting a different spin in the pimento cheese world that no one else has ever done. So
love it. Well, I want to again thank Upper Coastal Plain Council of Governments and Olga, that's I know personally, in the team there. And I believe you had a chance to work with a small business center as well at Wilson. Yeah. So I want to put a shout out to them. They're all great people in downtown Wilson. I love the town. I do want to say, if you go there, go check out the Whirly Gig Park. They're just all the great people of Wilson working together. And to me, you're part of the bigger picture of how do you save a town? You all get engaged and start doing something, because I believe you all are the backbone of America. It's entrepreneurship that will save it, not some new big large corporation coming into your area. That won't create the sustainability. That can help. I'm open for all these jobs. But to me, the economic development must be a catalyst from the ground up, going, okay, what can we do? And how can we help? And then how can we work together? And then you find people you can work well together and people you need to be a little apart from. And a lot of people might have to befriend some people outside their family to get out of the automatic conversation. And they might find in a good church group in small towns or others, because you clearly have also worked with positive people that are supportive, but giving you accurate information. So we'll put the resources down below. We'll put the link to the Upper Coastal Council of Government. I'll put the Small Business Center, and then get your resources to add as well. And I really encourage, if people find value on it, give kudos, follow them on social media, send a little love their way, and support them on their mission and their business as well. So it's fantastic to take this time and get together. And I'm glad to help you any way I can in the future. I'll be sharing this. Dan Scala, who helped me develop the course, was excited we're interviewing it. So I'll be eager to share it with him as well. So look, take good care, and let's stay in good touch. I'm seeing your vision as well, and I look forward. We'll do an update at the next level or phase of the business. So thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Martin.